What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Joe Rogan reacts to Khamzat Chimaev's dominant win. Joe Rogan was at UFC 319 to witness Khamzat Chimaev maul Dricus du Plessis for 5 rounds and secure the middleweight crown. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. And after, the broadcaster weighed in on what he saw. Not only was Chimaev largely able to take DDP down at will, he was pretty much held captive by Boers when that happened. Immediately after the card, Rogan questioned if DDP can evolve his ground game to a point where the outcome could be different. For Dricus to come back from that and bridge the gap between him and Khamzat, that is a tall task. It's a tall task because that kind of dominance, that kind of grappling dominance, was not just a level, it was multiple levels, and it just didn't seem like he had any answer for that. Rogan certainly isn't the only person raising this either. Another question being asked post-UFC 319 is, who, if anyone, could pose a threat to Chimaev? While trying to answer that question, Rogan said this: Reinier de Ridder, in particular, given his ability to grapple on the ground and also his ability to land shots standing, his toughness, his experience, he throws those combinations with that long lead-in knee. He's interesting. Do you agree with Rogan? Caio Borralho also witnessed the one-sided fight, and when he was asked by MMA Junkie about Chimaev's performance, the middleweight contender said this: He did what he always does, but this time he didn't finish. When a grappler comes and hugs the guy and he doesn't finish, it becomes a boring fight. It's a title fight with high-level guys. Dricus du Plessis was doing very good in the division. He was the reigning champion. When the grappler guys come and don't finish, it becomes a boring fight like that. Borralho, who has trained with Boers before, also made this interesting claim: I have an advantage between all the middleweight fighters. I'm the one that has an advantage to beat him because I know exactly what he's doing and what his system is, and the steps he goes through and how to deny those steps. I'm very respectful for Khamzat. He's like a brother to me, but at this time, it is the level of competition. It's me and him. While Borralho still needs to get by Nasruddin Imavov next month, another man in the title shot mix is Anthony Hernández. When he was asked for his take on Chimaev's performance, the charismatic fighter said this: Congratulations to him. It was a pretty boring fight, I'm not gonna lie, but call me for the next title fight. I can wrestle, I can do jiu-jitsu, I can stop all the and I can shut him down. With my gas tank, I'll drown him, man. I promise. I'll make him work. Do you see Borralho, Imavov, or Hernández beating Boers? As Aaron Bronstetter reported, there are odds out for potential fights between Chimaev and both Borralho and Imavov. Do you agree with those odds? It is worth noting that Chimaev has also acknowledged that he sees the winner of the Imavov-Borralho fight getting the next title shot. And when Chimaev was asked by Chael Sonnen where he thinks he sits on the pound-for-pound list, Boers reported, I don't know, I don't care who does that thing, so for sure, I have to be number 1. While Chimaev likely has some work to do before he can make that a reality, he likely has muzzled the narrative that he has bad cardio, which he alluded to in his interaction with Daniel Cormier. Not at all, you did amazing, congratulations. Belal Muhammad leaks message with Kamaru Usman. Before UFC 319, Belal sent a warning to Dricus du Plessis that he had to check in when arriving in Chicago, or else things won't be good for him when arriving. Did he check in? No. Did anything happen to DDP? No. However, Kamaru Usman did not take any chances and made sure to check in with Belal. This morning, Belal leaked messages with Kamaru Usman on X. Belal tweeted, Yes, Kamaru got permission and checked in before he got here. Please stop asking me, and then showed the messages. Kamaru Usman messaged Belal writing, Can I come to Chicago please? I really want to watch the fight. To which Belal replied, How long you staying? Usman responded by saying, Just for the fight. I'll leave right after, I promise. Belal, Okay, that's it, nothing else. Usman replied, Can I try the pizza? Belal ended it with, No, just the fight, then you leave. After posting the tweet, a fan asked Belal why Ali won't tell him to just sign the contract. He lost 3 straight. He doesn't deserve a title shot yet. Belal responded by saying, He said his wrist hurts more than his knees. Daniel Cormier concerned for Aaron Pico's health following UFC 319. Aaron Pico's UFC debut ended up being a disastrous one, and a man who had a front row seat for the brutal knockout, Daniel Cormier, sounds pretty concerned about the Bellator veteran's long-term health. Pico faced surging featherweight Lerone Murphy in the co-headliner for UFC 319, and early on, he was showcasing elements to his well-rounded game. But right before the first round ended, Murphy sent Pico to the land of shadows with a vicious spinning elbow. After the card, Cormier had this to say about the fight and the knockout.
I'm a wrestler, so I've known Aaron Pico since he was a little boy. That was a bad knockout. His teeth were clenched together. They couldn't get the mouth guard out. That's very concerning for Aaron Pico. He's been knocked out now multiple times, and when he's gotten knocked out really bad. So, little concern on the Pico side. But hats off to Lerone Murphy for coming through in his biggest spot ever.
It was definitely a close your eyes kids kind of moment. During the post-fight presser, Dana White had this to report about Pico.
Pico was transferred, and I haven't heard anything about Jeff. I think he's okay. But Pico, I'm no doctor, but I'm going to say he has a concussion for sure. But we haven't heard anything back that anything bad is happening. He's getting checked for his head and face.
The knockout did remind the MMA world that it wasn't long ago that Pico reported he believes he's a better fighter than Ilia Topuria.
I think I can be champion within a year. I know that's a bold prediction, but I truly feel it. Ask Freddie Roach, ask Miguel Cotto, ask Jose Ramirez, Ryan Garcia. They all know that I can box, and Topuria has really, really good hands, but I don't think it's at my level, if I'm just being completely honest.
Here were a couple more reactions online. And Ariel Helwani also noted that Bellator stars Patricio Pitbull and Patchy Mix also came up short in their UFC debuts. Do you see Pico coming back from this and being a contender in the UFC's featherweight division? Aaron Pico broke his silence on the loss last night by writing, "Last night was not my night. That's the fight game. I'm grateful for my team, my family, and everyone who continues to support me. The supporters that have been there from day one and my new supporters. I see you. Thank you. Wins and losses both teach lessons, and I'll come back sharper, stronger, and better prepared. Thank you all who have sent messages and checked in. My health is well. Thanks for riding with me. My story is not over." Islam Makhachev reacted to Pico's statement by writing, "Head up, champ. UFC updates." Let's take a look at some UFC and fight updates. Following his pivotal victory over Dan Ige last month, it hasn't taken long for Patricio Pitbull to land his next fight. It's being reported that the former Bellator champ will welcome former Octagon champ Losen Keita to the Octagon at UFC Paris. The featherweight matchup was first reported by Maître Cormier. Pitbull has gone 1-1 since joining the promotion and is 2-3 in his last 5. Keita, meanwhile, has won 5 in a row and, like Pitbull, has won titles in more than one weight class. And AG Fight is reporting that lightweights Jamie Malarkey and Rolando Bedoya will fight at the UFC's September 27th card in Perth, Australia. Malarkey is coming off a knockout loss to Mauricio Hufi and has gone 2-3 in his last 5. Bedoya, meanwhile, could also be in a must-win situation at UFC Perth, as he's lost 3 in a row. In his last outing, back in August 2024, he lost by unanimous decision to Jai Herbert. Michael Page keeps talking about fighting at welterweight again, but now that he's defeated 2 middleweight contenders, it looks like he's been punted from the welterweight ranks. If you missed it, the highlight reel striker recorded a decision win over Jared Cannonier over the weekend. And recently, we reported that Tom Aspinall had started work on a new neck tattoo, and judging by this pic, it looks like a lot of progress has been made. Alex Pereira, meanwhile, is booked for a rematch with light heavyweight king Magomed Ankalaev on October 5th. But a recent video clip shows Poatan has a few pounds to shed ahead of UFC 320.
242.4. Heavyweight. 242.4. For Alex Pereira.
Do you see Pereira making a run at heavyweight before he hangs up the gloves? Dana White shuts down UFC rumor. Recently, it was reported that the UFC is renovating the Apex facility so that it can hold an additional 10,000 fans. But following UFC 319, Dana White had his own scoop. That story was apparently a steaming pile of As we noted when this report initially surfaced, the story was a bit surprising, given that White had repeatedly said the UFC plans to hold less events at the Apex. Further, the reports also didn't sit well with folks who have grown tired of cards being held at the Vegas facility. But as noted, while talking to the media on Saturday, White was quick to shoot down the report.
Report that the UFC Apex is going to be expanded to have like 10 to 15,000.
That was the biggest bull story ever written. It's unbelievable. They quoted people that literally said nothing to them, never spoke to them or anything. That entire story was a absolute bull lie. The craziest thing we've ever seen. I called Lene and said, Lene, this whole story is a lie. Everything about it is a lie, including the people that they quoted. Never talked to them.
How does that happen?
How does that happen, Lene, the head of PR for the UFC?
And not long after White made those comments, Jason Hagholm flagged that LV SportsBiz posted a correction. The outlet had apparently meant to report that the seat expansion was for 1,000 seats. White also noted in the post-fight presser that there's no way the Apex could hold 10,000 seats, even if the UFC wanted it to, which is a pretty fair point. White was also asked about the fact that he shut down the possibility of John Jones fighting on the UFC White House card, and if Bones can do anything to change his mind. As you can see, White is sticking to his guns.
Let me ask you, what do you think John would do in the next couple of months that would make me trust putting him on the White House card?
Well, I would not trust him, but I would like to see him fight Aspinall on that card down the road.
So I already said that I don't trust him, and you're asking me what could he do for me to trust him in the next 3 months. You don't trust him.
Well, yes, but you talk to him. I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't talk to him either. I haven't talked to him at all.
Well, there's a greater chance you'll talk to him than I'll talk to him.
Yeah, I would not bet on, if I had to make odds, it's 1 billion to 1 that I put John Jones on the White House card.
Do you agree with White here? And do you think that there's any chance of him changing his mind? Demetrious Johnson annoyed with the MMA community. Khamzat Chimaev may have recorded one of the most dominant, one-sided performances in UFC championship history on Saturday, but some fans were less than thrilled with the UFC 319 main event. If you want to complain about the fight to Demetrious Johnson, you might want to rethink that plan. As you likely know, Dricus du Plessis had no answers for the wrestling and top game of Chimaev on Saturday and lost the middleweight crown to Borz by a unanimous decision. Although Chimaev controlled nearly every minute of the fight, he didn't inflict that much damage, and there have been lots of cries that the fight was boring. Well, when Mighty Mouse heard some of those complaints during his live stream for the card, this is what he had to say.
If you guys don't want to watch grappling and wrestling and jiu-jitsu, don't watch UFC. Don't. You guys are complaining about something that it's a very simple problem to fix. For example, let's say Khamzat's about to fight again. You don't want to watch a style. All you gotta do is go like this. You see this button right here? It's called off button. You just go like this. You go off. You don't have to see Khamzat wrestle.
Now, the fight was stood up by Mark Goddard at one point, since Chimaev wasn't doing enough. But it seems clear that Mighty Mouse didn't agree with that either.
Boring, doesn't matter, he won. Yeah, he won. Yeah. It wasn't the most exciting, but as a pure athletic event, you know, I think Khamzat dominated him. I think the ref shouldn't have given DDP the chance to get back to his feet, even though it wasn't, you know, the fans weren't like, oh my God. But I think that was a big L from the ref. But the ref's just trying to make it an exciting fight. That's what he's trying to do.
What's your take on Johnson's comments? And do you think Chimaev should have looked for a finish more aggressively? Khamzat Chimaev responds to Sean Strickland. Khamzat Chimaev appeared to have little trouble defeating a man who beat Sean Strickland twice. But if you think Strickland is dropping his campaign to fight his former training partner, think again. In recent months, Chimaev and Strickland have gone from buddies to rivals, and the latter has verbally trashed the Chechen star. In fact, prior to UFC 319, Strickland claimed that Chimaev was mentally weak. According to Strickland, one of the times this was evident was during Chimaev's well-documented battle with Well, following Chimaev's blowout win over DDP on Saturday, Strickland posted this: "I'm probably the only one in the UFC that can out-grapple that little for 5 rounds. Well, looks like I gotta stack some W's to fight that little LMAO." Not surprisingly, Chimaev was asked about his feud with Strickland and his recent comments during the post-fight presser. Here's what the new middleweight champion had to say.
Bro, Dricus take him down many times, but how can he take me down? Come on. This guy, I beat him everywhere and striking, but this guy just talk too much. So he's funny guy. He's working with, what is his name? Buratino or what is it?
Yeah, Paulo Costa.
Yeah, Paulo. I make them together.
It's an interesting point from Chimaev. If you need a refresher, DDP took Strickland down 6 times in their first fight, but just once in their second clash. So do you see Strickland being able to weather the smashing storm of Chimaev? Dricus du Plessis, major backlash. In a recent interview with Submission Radio, DDP's coach revealed that their team does not want to fight with Reinier de Ridder next, but instead will prepare to destroy Khamzat by learning to stuff his takedowns, then punish him with punches. Here's what his coach had to say.
So I won't just take a fight because fights are available. I want to fix this problem because we're going to face Khamzat and I want to destroy him this time. And I know it sounds easy, man. It sounds so easy. If you can just get that guy not to take you down, or stuff his takedowns and stand back up and just punish him. But he also picked up his wrestling game. So no RDR for us right now. Now I'd rather spend the time in fixing this problem.
The MMA community was not happy with the comments from DDP's coach. "You can't talk like this only 72 hours after that fight. He should be embarrassed to the gills with the game plan and the real-time adjustments they made in that fight. This guy is still delusional. I thought he got the reality check. Just trying to stay relevant. Failed the first time, but I'm going to conquer the second. Haha, so ridiculous. You should have been ready to defend your belt. You clearly were not." Dude needs to go. He had nothing to offer DDP between rounds and had so much to say before the fight only to show none of it. Haha, just get up. This is the same guy that was screaming now to Dricus while being crucified for the 5th time like it was going to do anything. He failed as a coach. He's trying to do damage control. Same thing happened with Leon Edwards' coach, just trying to save face. If you can only get that guy to not take you down is a crazy thing to say after being mauled in wrestling for 23 of a possible 25 minutes. Weird because everyone in the world, including the coach, knew Khamzat was going to take you down the first, and yet he was completely unprepared. If it's that easy, then I wonder why they didn't do this the first time. Not gonna happen. Betting the house, the car, and my ex's dog on Khamzat next time. Easy money. Do you think DDP deserves an immediate rematch after UFC 319? As for DDP, he has yet to release a statement on the Khamzat loss. However, he was seen someone enjoying himself after the fight. I guess that's one way of forgetting about the fight. We have a favor to ask. Help us reach 200,000 subscribers on MMA Zone by subscribing and turning on notifications for daily MMA content. Seriously, we rarely miss a day.